So when the other side asked me to make this video, I was pretty shocked because in a previous video, they had stated that they wanted people to view me as Gumby. He's green, he's friendly, has no private parts, but people like him. They didn't really want me being viewed as a sexual being, which is why their request for me to make this video completely threw me off. I'm like, come on guys, you don't even want me being viewed this way. Why do you want me to make a video talking about my vajayjay? And they said, it's not that we don't want you being viewed as a sexual being. It's that we don't want you being viewed as a sexual object. They said we can't stand objectification because objectification is a dismissal of the soul. So that's what they have a problem with. So they said, your brand is truth, cold, hard, unabashed truth. That's what your brand is. And so they said, is this your truth? And I said, it sure is. And they said, then you're going to make a video talking about your truth because you raising awareness and talking about what you've been through can help teach, inspire, motivate, educate, and just essentially raise awareness. So STDs, a subject that I'm extremely, extremely passionate about because of my past history. So I totally understand on one hand why they want me to make the video, but I was a little confused and just wanted to make sure that I wasn't messing with any sort of, image that I'm supposed to have or brand or whatever. And they're like, nope, your brand is truth. So, it's funny because I feel like I should be embarrassed talking about this, but I'm not because they've beaten my ego down so far that I'm like, whatever. So if you are like a friend or a family member watching this, you probably don't want to. It's going to gross you out. You're going to be like, dude, that is just TMI, man. TMI. Ew, that's my sister. Blah. So I wanted to tell you a story, and this story is very personal. And I'm sorry if I make you feel uncomfortable, because I know this subject makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable. I'm sorry. I feel comfortable telling this story, so if you're uncomfortable, just press stop. You don't have to watch. Luckily, you have free will. You can press stop and watch somebody else's YouTube channel. But because of what I've been through, I do feel a sense of obligation to tell this story in order to help people. I was dating a guy. He's my boyfriend. We decided to make love, and so we jumped each other like a couple of spider monkeys. And when I woke up the following morning, I had like pain, itching, inflammation in my genital area. And so I immediately concluded that he gave me some sort of STD. I was like freaking out. And so I immediately went to the gynecologist. They ran a full STD panel on me, came back negative, did a pap smear, came back negative. And so my boyfriend and I actually ended up breaking up over it because I was pretty upset. I was like, you gave me something. I know you gave me something. It's like I woke up the next morning with this. Give me a break. I was fine up until then. So I made him get tested. He got tested. His test came back normal. So he was healthy too. And I'm like, well, what is this? Some sort of STD that hasn't been discovered yet? WTF? So we end up breaking up over it. And the thing is you can't see anything. Like visibly, there's nothing down there. It's not like I was bubbling over with sores or some sort of rash or whatever. It was like there's just nothing there. Like visually, I looked perfectly fine. It was just like really bad nerve-ending pain and itchiness. But there's like nothing there. It's like invisible. I went to gynecologist after gynecologist after gynecologist. And all of them did the STD panels and the pap smears, and everybody was just like, I don't know, dude. I don't know what to tell you. And it was like, I just doctor shopped because I was panicking. So I probably would have gotten a lot further if I had just stayed with one gynecologist, but I just kept skipping around looking for answers and didn't get any. By the way, this was before I developed my intuition. Way before, just so you know. This was many, many years ago. I'm 43, so this was a long time ago. This would not happen today, just so you know. My intuition would have kicked in. So they referred me to a so after I went to all these different gynecologists, they eventually referred me to a dermatologist. And this dermatologist took a hole punch of my skin down there, like really thick, like deep, it's got like all the dermal layers, and did like a culture biopsy, whatever you're supposed to do on that, see if something grows. Like nothing grew. Like as far as she was concerned, she's like, there's nothing there, Christine. She's like, I don't know what to tell you, man. She's like, there's nothing there. She's like, I don't know why you're so uncomfortable. I wish I could help you more. I don't know what to tell you. So nothing, it all came back normal. And then eventually they just referred me to a neurologist, because what I was experiencing was like nerve pain and itching or whatever. They're just like, all right, this is neurological. So the neurologist ran an MRI of like my spinal cord or whatever, make sure there's no spinal cord damage. That came back normal. And I remember telling the neurologist that there were two things that made me feel better. Number one was swimming in a cold pool, because I was a big swimmer at the time. And number two was Theraflu. I said, for some reason, when I take like Theraflu or whatever, it makes it better. And he was like, all right, go off the Theraflu. He's like, you sound like you're completely addicted to it. And I'm like, well, I kind of am. I take it every day. He's like, all right, you can't take Theraflu every day for a long time. He's like, go off the Theraflu. He's like, all right, look, we got to manage your pain. So he actually ended up putting me on an epilepsy medication called Neurontin, which I took for a year. And it helped. It helped because the nerve pain was so bad and it was so uncomfortable that this epilepsy medication just dulls your nerve endings. So I was kind of, sleepy and kind of out of it during that year, but it got rid of the pain. I was comfortable. So went on the Neurontin for a year. While I was on the Neurontin, I met and fell in love with a man, and he became my boyfriend. And when the time came to get intimate with each other, I had to tell him. I had to sit down and tell this dude, there's something wrong with me down there. You can't tell by looking at it. It looks totally normal, but there's something wrong with me. They don't really know what it is. I test negative for all the STDs. My pap smear is normal. I don't know what to tell you, but see, the thing is, I felt a responsibility to tell him this because this had shown up after I slept with my last boyfriend. So I felt like this was an STD that hadn't been discovered, like something I could give him. So I had to be completely open and honest with him. And he said, you know what? I love you. That's okay. We're just going to be careful and we're just going to use condoms. I'm like, all right. So the entire time we dated, I was on Neurontin and we used condoms and everything was fine. He was fine. He was perfectly fine. And then we subsequently broke up after that. We did not end up together, obviously, because I'm single right now. Again, this was many, many years ago. So finally, I decided to go to a childhood dermatologist that I had. And I said, look, I'm on an epilepsy medication right now. I'm still trying to play Nancy Drew. I still want to solve this mystery. As a dermatologist and someone that I really trust, can you do me a favor? Can you go through all of the possible things this could be? Because I feel like I'm missing something. I just want you to run through all of the possibilities. She said, number 1, STD. Number 2, nerve damage. Number 3, allergy. And I'm like, whoa. Allergy? Allergy? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, this is the first time I'm hearing about a possible allergy. And I'm like, allergic to what? And she's like, I don't know. Like, what do you put down there? Food, latex. And I'm like, allergy? Holy crap, lady. Immediately run to an allergist, and he does this full panel scratch test on my back. Food, everything. And I say, can you do me a favor? In your big allergy testing panel, can you test me for latex? And he said, no problem. So he did the scratch test, and I came back like a 4+, where I wasn't just a little bit allergic to latex. I was a lot allergic to latex. So I'm Nancy Drew, and I'm putting all this together, and I realize the morning that I woke up after making love to my boyfriend, I had used a diaphragm. I inserted the diaphragm that night. I kept it in all night, and I did not take it out until the following morning. Diaphragms stay in your vajayjay, and they are made of latex. My body was having an allergic reaction to the diaphragm, and my allergic reaction was so severe that my nerve endings stayed pissed off. It didn't just go away because the diaphragm was outside my body. My nerve endings stayed pissed off from that. So, let's review, shall we? I have a latex allergy. I got it from using a diaphragm. Body didn't like that. I subsequently had another boyfriend where I used latex condoms the entire time I was with him. So I was pissing off my vajayjay even more with that. Why did the Theraflu help me? Because of the antihistamine in it. That's why I couldn't go off the Theraflu, because of the antihistamine. I didn't want to. It felt too good. That's what I needed. I needed antihistamine. Why did a cold swimming pool feel good to me? Because it was like one big ice pack on the inflammation. So as I'm laying on that allergist table, I'm just sitting there shaking my head and laughing. Why? Because it had been 6 years. 6 years that I had experienced that pain. 6. That's how long this mystery took to solve. 6 years. How's that for an advertisement for developing your intuition, huh? See, that's a pretty big one. Develop your intuition. This wouldn't have happened. So I immediately call my ex-boyfriend, and I'm like, dude, you're not going to believe this. And when I told him I was allergic to latex, he's like, no! It's like, Christine, we used latex condoms the entire time we were together. I'm like, mm-hmm. And he's like, no, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I know, it's all right. Just so you know, that boyfriend will always hold a special place in my heart. Because he stayed with me. He knew there was something wrong with me, and he stayed with me. So he'll always hold a special place in my heart for unconditional love. So, why am I telling you all this? Well, because during those 6 years when I was walking around with a painful, itchy crotch, I was accepted into the STD community. Because as far as they were concerned, I was one of them. People came out of the woodwork. Now, where did this STD community come from? It's like out of nowhere. It's like an underground society. Why is it an underground society? Because people don't talk about it. Let me use myself as an example. If you are a friend or family member watching this video, you have no freaking clue this ever happened to me. This is many, many years later. It's part of my history. I still haven't told anybody. Nobody knows this, except for my ex. Because people don't talk about it. People don't talk about it. So you think STDs don't exist. I gotta get a jail-free card, kids. Because as far as I was concerned, I was living the life of somebody with an STD. It certainly felt like it. Certainly felt like it when you have to sit down with a boyfriend and say, hey, there's something wrong with me. Please don't dump me. Please love me anyway. Please accept me. You know, it's like somebody could look at me and be like, lady, you had it easy. You know, you didn't just get a flat out diagnosis with like, you know, herpes or AIDS or hepatitis or whatever. You had it easy, girl. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I did compared to them. But at the same time, I feel an obligation to educate people about this subject because I was on the other side of the fence, and then I got to jump back over and be on the other side. You know, because people don't talk about it and because it's an underground society, you know, people think it's not a problem. They think STDs don't exist. Also, STDs look like nothing. You know, if you're in love with someone and you're like, woohoo, let's get frisky. You know, you like look at them down there and you're like, yep, looks good to me, let's do this. It's like you can't tell by how somebody looks. You can't tell. Like, STDs are invisible. So that's another reason why I feel like I have an obligation to educate people about this subject, is because I did so much research on STDs, you guys. I did so much research on STDs because I was Nancy Drew, so I had to learn everything about everything. And now my knowledge is outdated, unfortunately. You know, just so you know, I recently got tested for STDs because I had a full physical exam. I said, can you run a full STD panel on me also? And he said, sure. And I couldn't believe what they tested me for. He's like, just so you know, we're going to test you for everything. I'm like, that's fine. But it was crazy what they tested me for because, like I said, my knowledge is outdated. But it was like HSV, non-life-threatening. No, wait. HPV, human papilloma virus, the virus that causes like genital warts. It was like, you know, HPV life-threatening, HPV non-life-threatening. It was like, oh my gosh, like there's different strains of this stuff now. So they tested me for so much stuff and it all came back negative. But when I looked at my results, I was just sitting there shaking my head and thinking, if you guys only knew. If you guys only knew what I've been through with all this stuff and just the fear and sadness and just pain that I've been through. So, you know, if you do have an STD, that becomes your truth. It becomes your truth, and the truth is the light. So you say, okay, God, I contracted this STD. That's my truth. I'm going to be open and honest with people. And whether or not they want to continue a relationship with me, okay. They have free will. That is their choice. But you're on the right side of the light. You chose the truth. You did your due diligence in informing them what's going on with you. And that's all you can do. And then you just ask the other, if that person, you know, is mean or whatever, you ask the other side, okay, you know, bring somebody onto my path that also has this or, you know, can accept this and will be okay with it. The other side can do that, you know, do Reiki on yourself, perform Reiki, energy healing on yourself. You know, pray for a cure, whatever. Miracles happen every day. So, you know, another thing is if you had a partner that you were committed to and they cheated on you and then brought something home, you're a victim of someone's free will. You are a victim of someone's free will in that case. And unfortunately, that also becomes your truth. So you just tell that, you know, if you break up with your partner that's cheating, you tell that to your next partner. It becomes your truth. And if you encounter somebody with an STD, it's your decision. It's your decision whether or not you want to continue the relationship with them. You know, the other side is all about your body being a temple and like self-love and self-care. And it's really up to you. I mean, because you love that person and you want to be with them. So it's really up to you. Pray for guidance, because I can't really tell you what to do. You have to decide for yourself. Pray for guidance. You know, another thing is it also they're showing me like it also depends on the circumstance. They're showing me like a lot of different factors involved, so it doesn't feel like they want to make a blanket statement with that anyway. It feels situational. Pray for clarity. You know, if you're having difficulty deciding how to proceed, pray for clarity. And you know what? Another thing is get tested, because it's better to know than to not know. A lot of times we just want to dig our head in the sand and ignorance is bliss. they're encouraging you to get tested. I mean, if you think about it, at the end of the day, there's nothing better than, you know, being in a committed relationship, knowing that, you know, you're clean, they're clean, you have nothing to worry about, and you just toss each other around the bedroom. You know, just have a good time. Fantasy role playing. You know, I would say Stormtrooper is probably my most requested outfit. You know, I also have a Catholic schoolgirl uniform and a French maid, but nobody really cares about those. My personal favorite is Cleopatra, because she likes cats, and then Toonses can join in, and then it's just like one big ball of fur fluffing fun. So just be open-minded and have a good time. But yeah, I mean, how much peace of mind do you have? You know, if they get tested and you get tested and you're in a committed relationship, that's a lot of peace of mind, you know, as long as you trust them. And the other side of the fence, if you're promiscuous, my reaction to that is, whoo, be careful. Be careful. And that's a response from my past. That just makes me want to cross my legs. I just feel like it's asking for it. I feel like you're tempting fate, because there's just so much stuff out there, and because people don't talk about it, it's just hidden, and people are like, woo, I love you so much, we're gonna be together forever, let's just jump into bed. Oh, I've also had a couple glasses of wine, so my free will is a little bit off right now. That's the thing, is like, I just want people to be a little more conscious of the risks involved if they are promiscuous. It's like, just, you know, I guess I just want my head to pop up in a little bubble over your bed and saying, you guys, don't forget my story. You don't want to, you know, go through something like that. It was very uncomfortable for a long time. So, you know, another thing is, you know, ask your doctor. Ask your doctor. They're in the know. They see all sorts of junk. They see stuff all day, every day. They know what's up. They know what's out there. So ask them for advice, you know. How can I prevent this in the future? How can I be safe? You know, what types of birth control do you suggest? You know, and just you know, ask them about vaccines, whatever. I don't know. I wish my knowledge wasn't so outdated. Maybe I should start doing some more updated research. But, you know, I guess really the goal of this video is to raise awareness and just to ask you guys to think twice and to show self-love and to show self-protection, and just be careful and just be smart about it. Just be careful and protect your carnal treasure. And in the meantime, take care and be well. Thank you.